Hey guys, it's masatonic. I'm Bilingual Harukist. 皆さん、こんにちは。Bilingual Harukist のmasatonic です。Haruki Murakami, book guide, short story 17, 1963 and 1982, Girl from Ipanema. So, in this video, I'd like to talk about these very interesting works of Haruki Murakami. But first of all, I'd like to ask you all, how many of you know this work? I wonder, not so many people knowing about this work because it's technically it's not a novel, so-called, or story or narrative. It's much more kind of literary works. Just I can say that. And besides, just yesterday I didn't know it's published in English. So and then English publication situation is a little bit complicated because now I showed you the cover of this book is the Penguin Book of Japanese short stories. Its author, or how to say compiler, is J. Rubin. He's one of Haruki Murakami's translator. So in a way, it's not published as Haruki Murakami's book officially. Yes, technically. So in a way, not so many people recognize this Haruki Murakami's works. But in the end, so I hope this video might help you understand this very interesting works of Haruki Murakami. And I'm glad to you read these works after watching this video. So let's get started. As always, this video consists of 3 parts. First, overview of this work, and the second, story, and third, deep reading or reading tips from me. Right, let's get started. As first, overview. A Girl from Ipanema is firstly appeared in magazine 12 in Japan, 1982, April, and after that, contained in A Perfect Day for Kangaroos. This is a collection of short stories, and it is published 1983 September. So, and then this, unfortunately, this one, A Perfect Day for Kangaroos, as a collection of short stories, it's not published in English one, but a few works from this collection of short stories is translated and published in the collection of short stories in English, like The Elephant Vanished and also Blind Widow Sleeping Woman. Some few works are contained in those 2 collection of short stories. And here's very important things I should point out. Haruki Murakami read aloud in Murakami Jam 2021 February. In a way, this year, just about weeks ago. So what's Murakami Jam? I just wondering, so majority of you, especially in the English, how to say, English field, didn't know about Murakami Jam. Actually, in Japan, since a few years ago, Haruki Murakami hosted his radio program called Murakami Radio. And then as a special concert from Murakami Radio, Murakami Jazz took place second time. And luckily, I could join the first concert about two years ago. And this year, just a week ago, a second time, Murakami Jam had taken place. And during the event, so many musicians, especially jazz musicians, had a concert. And then during the event, Haruki Murakami himself did read aloud his own work. And at that time, he chose this work, 1963 and 1982, Girl from Ipanema. Because actually this time, the Murakami Jam theme is Bossa Nova. And then so many, perhaps majority of you might know, Girl from Ipanema is one very famous jazz tune of Bossa Nova. Actually, it could be, we could say that Girl from Ipanema is a representative of Bossa Nova. So in a way, of course, so many jazz musicians played that tune, and also Haruki Murakami featured this with short works of his own. So that's why I pick up these works. Even at first, I didn't recognize this work had published in English. But anyway, it's another. So here's the situation. Why I didn't recognize that English works. English version did published to be honest, and then that is included in the Penguin Books of Japanese Short Stories 2018. It's just a few years ago in June by J. Rubin. And as I said earlier, J. Rubin is one of Haruki Murakami's translator. And then also J. Rubin is a researcher of Japanese, basically modern literature, like Soseki Natsume or Ryunosuke Akutagawa, etc., etc. And then he published such it's a kind of, this is literary Japanese short stories, including Haruki Murakami's few works, and including this 1963 and 1983 Girl from Ipanema. And also, and as, like I mentioned, Soseki Natsume or Ryunosuke Akutagawa, and also Mieko Kawakami. These kind of, how to say, from J's point of view, very important Japanese authors or novelists short stories is published. And during this book, among this work in contain featured, and this is kind of it's surprise because actually I know Jay did translate this work, and then one time Jay has a kind of publishing tour in Japan because Jay is also a novelist himself, and Jay published his own novel, and then Japanese translating version had published a few years ago. And then at that time, Jay did a publishing tour, and I joined that event. And during that event, he did reading aloud a few excerpts from his novel, and also a Haruki Murakami's work as a translator. And at that time, he reading aloud this same title, 1963 and 1982 Girl from Ipanema, with a harmony or melody of the Girl from Ipanema. So, and I joined that event, and I kind of very moved. Wow, it's nice. I felt it's really nice way of enjoying a literary works, like reading aloud. So in a way, I noticed there is a version of translation, but at first I thought this is just for that event and not published in as a book. And at first, that one, English one, Blind Widow and Sleeping Woman, published. It's a collection of short stories. And at first, the translated version of Girl from Ipanema would be included in here, Blind Woman in the Blind Widow and Sleeping Woman. But in the from the final version, it's deleted, or so we should say it's decided not to include it here because this one, Blind Widow Sleeping Woman, includes 24 short stories. So even the final version is quite a sick book. So maybe it's they finally judge. No, they should select much more, how to say, kind of masterpiece of short stories. And then, as I said earlier, a product, this Girl from Ipanema is technically it's not a short story. It's much more kind of essay-like or kind of just literary works. It's very hard to explain. Maybe you should read it. You can tell. It's very hard to tell. How should we recognize these works? But one thing we can say is it's not a how to say literary meaning of how to say novel or short stories, because it's not story. So what kind of contents Haruki Murakami write about in this work? So let's move into story, but it's technically it's not story, to be honest. And then it's very short works, maybe just less than or about 10 pages. You can read it aloud. It's about just 10 minutes, so not difficult to reading aloud. And these works consist of these few sentences or structure. At first, there's a quote from God from Ipanema. God from Ipanema is, like I said, the bossa nova's favorite tune, and they got lyrics, and then of course English version, maybe just how to say, the same lyrics from English version to just quotes from it. In Japanese version, here's very important things. Haruki Murakami is also a translator from English to Japanese. So in a way, a reader can read translation of God from Ipanema from English to Japanese by Haruki Murakami, and that translation is quite nice. It's very nice way of enjoying it. So if you can read Japanese, here's a Japanese original version, but a kangaroo for a perfect day for kangaroos in Japanese, kangaroo biori. So, and I put a link here. So if you have interest, please check it. It's very nice. And then I started some description about Girl from Ipanema. This is a kind of very, how to say, lyrical image of Girl from Ipanema, or very hard to explain. This just description going on. And next part, narrator, or maybe Haruki Murakami remembering his high school days, especially high school corridor. And in the works, the girl from Ipanema reminds him as a high school corridor. I don't know why, but he said the tune reminds him the high school corridor, and also a salad, high school corridor and salad, and how he reminds these things. He just a description going on, and here's the most poetical part of this work: conversation with 1963 and 1982 girl from Ipanema. So there's a conversation between narrator, perhaps Haruki Murakami, and the girl from Ipanema, some kind of fictional or kind of, how to say, imaginary a girl from his own, how to say, it's very hard to explain, his own world. And there's conversation, and this conversation is very Murakami-like conversation has taken place. And the final part, an encounter with girl from Ipanema during a subway ride. Maybe a few years later, maybe here's a year of 1982, Haruki Murakami or narrator ride subway, and in the, how to say, a poster of the on the train, and a guy there's a girl from Ipanema he could find, and then he just remembering about her, that kind of things. So in a way, we can read as an essay of a girl from Ipanema. So, but it's not how to say, classified or categorized as essay, but much more literary works or short story. So this kind of story or structure they got. So maybe you don't understand what kind of a books this is. So maybe if these kind of things, if you have interested, please check it, J's translated edition or Japanese original sentences. But it's very interesting. So, and the deep reading or reading tips of this. How should we enjoy much more these very short stories? And maybe we should reading aloud like Haruki Murakami himself. And actually, in the Murakami Jam, the special event, Haruki Murakami edited the original Japanese text to much more shorter version or kind of updated version. So in a way, a little bit different from the original edition, but still, like I said, even in the original one, it's less than 10 pages, so very easy to read. So even in the English one, translator J. Rubin, he talked about his translation. He much very careful about rhythm of original text. So it's very how to say, poetic, and then especially this work is very poetic and lyrical. So he translated with detailed care. So in a way, as an English reader, maybe his works very easy to read aloud. So maybe we should do it. And of course, we should not forget the listening Girl from Ipanema. There's so many famous film Girl from Ipanema. Of course, not feature Stan Getz, and Stan Getz version of Girl from Ipanema is amazing. It's one of Stan Getz's most famous tune, I guess. And also in Bossa Nova vocalist Lisa Ono, and the version is also amazing, nice. And actually, Lisa Ono is appeared in Murakami Jam, and I watched it in the streaming version, and the Lisa Ono singing is so nice. And also very famous Japanese female guitarist Kaori Muraji, and she had played a guitar, and then with her guitar play, Haruki Murakami did leading award of Girl from Ipanema of this title. So maybe we should listen Girl from Ipanema and enjoying his literary works. Right, that's it. So thank you for watching my video. So this video is kind of a little bit different from another book guide video, but maybe I think this is the only video who mentioned about 1963 and 1982 Girl from Ipanema. So in a way, kind of very rare video. if you watch from this part, thank you for spending your time. And I hope this video might help you enjoy Haruki Murakami's work. Oh, and I should not forget to mention about this title. What's the 1963 and 1982? 1963 is a year of original recording of a Girl from Ipanema. Actually, it's published in 1964, but it's recorded in 1963. So this is a year of recording of Girl from Ipanema by Stan Getz. And 1982 is kind of here. It firstly appeared literary magazine. So in a way, this is a present time at the publishing moment, Haruki Murakami's present time. So kind of from 1982 present time, looking back to 1963, his Haruki Murakami's teenage days, his high school days, and also a jazz and bossa nova's golden time in a way. So that kind of title, this is it. So the English version is available in this J's the Penguin Book of Japanese short stories, and the Japanese version is available in the Kangaroo日和. So that's it. So thank you for watching again. So if you like this video, I would appreciate give me a high rate and subscribe my channel. All right. So let's see you another video. Bye. See you.